Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Leader, presented by Lee Brevard. Hope you're having a great day today. I am your host, Gio Ropert, and I will be joined by a very special guest here in just a couple of minutes. And we're planning on having a really good day today. And technology is working, which is just blowing me away. I was having some serious issues the last couple of days. Those of you who were with me or weren't with me saw that we weren't able to broadcast live last Thursday. And then on my Friday show that I do, Friday Facebook Live on my Roper and Partners page, didn't come across either. So went through, looked around, figured some things out, and lo and behold, we're live. So it's a you never know what's going to happen, but we roll with it. So the thing we're recorded and we're getting everything back up and running. But we do hope that your week is starting off well. Big changes here. I guess we're in phase 2 of our let out, we'll call it. We don't have to stay home so much anymore, but still some restrictions. But I did see people getting out and about over the weekend. It was really good to see. Hope everybody is practicing safety and social distancing when they are out and about. And so we keep everybody safe, get those numbers down so we can start doing things. I personally will be in for a haircut. I hope sometime this week as my styling salon is reopened, and we'll get there. Hey, the premise of this show is spend a few minutes during your lunchtime. We can take a break and hear a little bit from our local leaders. These are folks who have been through our Leadership Brevard program presented by Lee Brevard. And these are truly our community leaders. These are the folks that you see almost everywhere you go. They're out there, they're helping out not only in their professional lives, but in the communities that they serve. And the gentleman joining me today has just a long list of service, and you'll know him when you see him if you didn't see him right there at the beginning. But he's really kind of a force to be reckoned with when it comes to our leaders, and just does an incredible job. I've been looking forward to having him with me on the show today. Let me do just a little bit of background on this gentleman. Truly somebody that I've admired for many, many years. Bart Gaetjens, he is the Area External Affairs Manager for Florida Power and Light, better known as FPL. He is a 2016 Leadership Brevard graduate. He's currently serving on the Lee Brevard Board of Directors, and he serves in a multitude of community roles. And I'll tell you, when I say multitude, gosh, Bart, I looked at this list and I went, wow. This is pretty incredible. And just let me catch a few highlights for you. He is an officer on the Economic Development Commission of Florida Space Coast, Executive Board of Junior Achievement of Brevard County, on the executive boards of the Civilian Military Community Relations, Brevard's Business Voice, Brevard Nature Alliance. He is a board member on the Indian River Chamber of Commerce. Now, his territory covers a pretty good distance, so you'll not only see him in Brevard County, but you'll see him down in Indian River. I think we are back up and running. If in case you lost us there for a minute, we did seem to have some technical difficulties, but we are back, and we're with Bart Gaetjens from Florida Power and Light. Just was discussing for a few minutes what was kind of Bart's background and some of what he's done, where his leadership skills came from. Bart, you've definitely been through some trying times here with the several storms that we've had over the last few years. And what is your role when that happens? When we get a storm coming through, what exactly are you responsible for in that capacity?
I've got 2 people that report to the EOC in Brevard and 2 people that report to the EOC in Indian River and Vero Beach. And we work around the clock, and we work with the elected officials. We work with the Kimberly Prosser, the EOC director, and we work on getting the critical infrastructures restored. And we work on special situations. At that time, really it's the EOC's role to direct how the county is restored, and we're part of that. We have a plan, but we share that with them, and they review it and they say, here's what we feel are the most important places to get back on. Now, when we had the storms in 2004, we did a critical assessment of how we respond to storms, but how to be proactive. So we've invested $4 billion in our hardening infrastructure to try to prevent it. So hopefully that number one location, which is usually a hospital, If that rides through the storm and there's no damage, then we can go to the number 2 and on down the list. So it's making it harder and more storm resilient, and it's improving reliability day in and day out.
And I will say you've done some incredible work over the years to harden the system. I've noticed it. I was around in the '04, and I think I was in Cocoa Beach at that time, and knew a lot that was going on there. And then the last couple of times we've had the storms, I've been ready. I had my generator gassed up, bunch of gas ready to go. I mean, and we're locking in everything, and you guys took care of it. I don't think we were out more than a few hours, at least in my area here in Vieira. So,
and that's good. And I want to remind everybody to have a plan. You know, if there's anything we learned from this pandemic, is to have a plan and be ready. Because, you know, if a hurricane hits us this year, it's going to be really abnormal in that, where do we send people to special needs shelter? How do we keep social distancing? Even in house, our executives who usually assemble in one room so they can talk to one another, we can't have that because of fear of what if they get sick.
Right.
So we're going to keep our leaders separated, and they're going to have to use a lot of social media like you and I are using today.
Yeah, who'd have thought we'd find ourselves doing a lot of face-to-face, but doing it electronically and over video. It has definitely made some changes. I'm glad to see, though, you guys have really taken that into consideration, because we're only a month away from that season.
That H word, yeah. You know, if you look at the last few hurricanes we've had, a lot of that's caused by vegetation management. In 2004, you had poles and wires all over the street. This last year was mainly wires knocked down by vegetation. So we put a lot of money into vegetation. We put a lot of money into hardening, because it's a whole lot easier to go out there and put wires back in the air than it is to put in new poles and rebuild your infrastructure.
Yeah, you're so absolutely right. Let me ask you, how did Leadership Brevard? I mean, you've been in leadership positions, but can you share with me how Leadership Brevard kind of helped maybe fine tune some of those leadership skills and qualities and your experience in the program?
Yeah, I was in the class of 2016, and when Kristen approached me about being on the board, I told her I hadn't gone through the class, and she said that was okay. You know, maybe I'm grandfathered in because of my age and my experience, but I still wanted to go through the class.
Right.
And it was a great exercise for me. Not only did I get to meet a lot of future leaders that I'm watching their development now, and it's fantastic. I think that really helped them. But I was able to sit back and watch different styles of leadership. I went into that class mainly to be an observer. You know, even when we got into our project, I think I had some connections, I had some thoughts, but I kind of stood back, because being the older guy, being who I am, I didn't want to be someone that just walked in and dominated. And it's the same way on boards. You don't want to be the most vocal. You don't want to be the know-it-all. So again, we get back to situational leadership. If you can go to your chair and maybe you have some comments that maybe would help he or she, you know, off to the side, where if they want to take credit for it, it's all about the cause. And that's, I think, what I learned a lot from Leadership Brevard, is the focus on the cause, the passion.
That's so true. Yeah. And well said. Very well said. I think, you know, that really is the time where you can come in and kind of, you know, put everything aside and I know you helped a lot of people during that time. Because you had that experience, you were able to kind of help guide them and some of our early and young leaders. So let me ask you, Bart, as we kind of wrap up today, what advice or counsel can you give to the leaders now, as we're moving into this very different way of operating our businesses and our community organizations?
You know, right now, you've got to have a plan. You know, we talked about having a plan for hurricane season. I can remember when the shuttle shut down here in Titusville, a lot of people, I happened to be chair over at the Titusville Chamber at the time, and a lot of news stories wanted to come in and talk about gloom and doom. And the fact of the matter is, in Titusville, the people up here, we've always been ready for these things. I mean, they've been through Saturn and Apollo. So they knew how to put things away and say, the good times and the bad times, we're prepared for both. And I think that's what you've got to do. I think it's important that we start teaching kids financial literacy. The credit cards are nice to have, but it's good to pay them off. to be on top of your bills, you know, I think that's going to be critical for everybody going forth in the future. So if we run into a situation like this again, it won't be paycheck to paycheck. I know that's difficult to do, but you know, I've often talked to many people about how just $5 a week or getting into a mutual fund, something along those lines, can really pay off and can really grow. But you've got to have a plan. So, and I think you've got to keep the optimism. I mean, you can't go in with gloom and doom that we're going to fail. We're going to get through this together. And I think it's okay to say, I need some help. Step up and need some help. There's a lot of people out there that have never stepped forward and said, I need help. Now is the time not to be shy and to say, help me out so that we can get back, you know, reach out and give me a hand up, not a handout.
Right.
You know, help me get back on my feet so we can grow as a community.
That's great. Very wise words, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. And you're right. I mean, there's so much that I think we're going to learn that we should have done. It's the woulda, shoulda, coulda, but the how will we going forward, and, you know, take those lessons learned. Don't let it, you know, don't let it go away. It's just like with every storm that passes, we learn a little bit more. We're a little bit better prepared. You know, I know when I go out, I know exactly what I need. Here's what I got to buy. Here's what I need to have. Here's how I prep the house. Here's how we do it. So it really is. Well, Bart, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you today. It really has been an honor. You're a dear friend and somebody I very much admire in our community. And I know that you'll continue to support everyone. And you know, when they do ask for a hand out or a hand up, I should say, I know you're one of those people that would be the first in line to say, hey, I've got your hand right here and I can help you. So I thank you again. Bart, wonderful guy and a true leader in our community from Florida Power and Light. I thank you all for taking a little bit of time today to join me and my guest, Bart Gaetjens. Tomorrow, I'm going to have Dale Ketchum, who is the Vice President of Government Affairs for Space Florida, also one of the first graduates of Leadership Brevard back in 1985. So he's got a history. He's got great stories. Some of them we're allowed to share in public. Others we have to kind of temp down a little bit. But he is a great guy. So it's going to be a good show for you tomorrow. Remember, Leader to Leader broadcasts every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12:15 p.m. on the Lead Brevard Facebook page. And it will continue to work. I have faith in it. We're going to keep this going. And then once we get those on, you can also see replays on the YouTube page for Lead Brevard, and you can get it there. So if you can't get it live, get the replay. Always good times here. I'm Gio Roper from Roper & Partners Public Relations. I've been your host, and I will continue to be your host until they tell me otherwise. Have yourselves a great day.